Article 13, the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $25,186 to purchase a Gator off-road vehicle with track, trailer, and slide for the EMS department. $12,593 to come from a grant and $12,593 to be raised by taxes. Not recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Majority vote required. This appropriation is in addition to Article number 8, the operating budget. Do I have a motion?
I say that we motion that this be, really do it. Let's do it. We need that type of vehicle. As a firefighter and EMS flight certified medic, I can tell you there's been many times you have accidents in the woods where you have to be bouncing this person all around. With an ATV, you can also make it easier, faster to get to take care of that patient. Or if you have a fire that's back in the woods, you can put on a portable pump and take it back to the water source so you can fight it.
Okay.
So
Are you moving that Article 13 be placed on the ballot as written?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Ready for a second? Okay. Moved and seconded that Article 13 be placed on the ballot as written. Do I have discussion?
Yes, I have a question. I'm all in favor of getting something like this, but how are we gonna transport it?
It's in there if you read the board, it says trailer and everything
Yeah.
else.
Buster will
And
tell
you
you.
also have a fire
vehicle
department.
Buster.
to get it to where it needs to go.
Yeah, but the thing is,
That's good.
my department has one of those, and it was put on the back,
Hey,
the wall
Peter.
was put on the back.
Buster's got a pretty good
And
presentation.
that's how it was run.
Well, right now, we're trying to replace our rescue truck, which is.
I didn't say rescue.
Okay, I'm going to stop this discussion for a minute here. Buster might have to shed some light on this. I will ask him for what information he has.
The safety committee identified an off-road vehicle as a item that we need in this town. And this year, the town qualifies for 50% grant from Homeland Security to purchase such a vehicle. Now, in the grant proposal, it calls for a all-terrain vehicle that can be used in all weather conditions. That's why this thing will be set up so that we can put tracks on it. That's part of the package. The slide in is so that we can remove somebody from the scene. That's part of their
I
requirement.
understand all this.
Okay, and a trailer to get to the
Yes,
site.
I understand that,
Okay.
okay? But how are you gonna get that trailer out of this building or the east building or wherever it's housed to the site?
Very simple, put a ball on the fire truck, the pumper, I'm not talking to rescue, the pumper, you put a ball onto that, and then when the thing is needed, you just drive the truck back in,
On
hook it up,
engine 1 or engine 3?
doesn't matter. You just have to decide which place it's gonna be, the main station or the east station. Otherwise, for transportation, it's the same thing, just put a ball on it. We did it in my fire department in New York, and it worked very well.
Yeah, but you got different roads.
We were out, but I'm not gonna say where we were, because we were out in the country as well. We were not in the city. No, the nearest city was 50 miles away. But this is why you need this type of vehicle.
Well, I
You can
just
save a lot.
foresee down the road within a year, we'll be looking to buy a truck.
What's more important, your life or a truck?
Hey, I've gone to the EMS system for years too, but I'm just telling you.
Well, I'm telling you.
Okay, gentlemen, I need a discussion that's not going through me here. Joe?
Yeah, I'm just curious, we've got a lot of hilly terrain. When I looked at this type of vehicle for my own property, I was told it would not work because of the hills and slopes. So has anybody looked into the capability of this thing going up and down the hills for rescue?
I'm sure there's going to be limitations to any motorized vehicle going in. We doing the best with what we've got. We're talking about a four-wheel drive vehicle that we can put tracks on. It should pretty well do the job.
Hey?
Yes, you may. I have expressed already my concern about the status quo. And for my part, I just didn't see right now adding another piece of equipment we've never had before. I mean, I'm already worried about keeping what we've got. You know, as much as I'd like to support the recommendation of the safety committee, it's just another piece of motorized equipment in a time when I'm not sure at all that we can keep what we've got already.
Sure.
Ed Wazowski, have we had a need for this vehicle and had instances where it could have been used and wasn't available?
Can anyone here respond to that question? Whether we have had instances where this vehicle could have been used?
I can answer that. Last year, we had to pull a person out of the woods. We weren't sure how far out they were. We were told it was approximately 3/4 of a mile. They were a mile and 3/4. They were suffering from chest pains. We had to call mutual aid for a similar unit. We had to wait for that to come from Keene. As far as pulling it, we'll either use what we have or personal vehicles. Yeah, no, that's what we, that's, if it was come to pass, that's how we would move it.
We also had last year some people from out of state that were coming up snowmobiling up here and got off the trail, and we had to go out and get them. And we really had quite an effort to get out there with equipment that would get these people out of the bind. It could have been pretty bad.
Ma'am?
I have a question, since you mentioned out-of-staters getting in trouble, do we charge them? For the services?
I don't know whether they were charged to.
I know they do on, I think it's on Washington now and all, they charge.
It's hard to get the money back.
Is this an item which another year we might consider sharing with another town? Would that be reasonable?
Great idea.
Not as far as the purchase price goes. The grants are town specific. It would be available for other towns if it was needed through mutual aid. Like Keene came up to help us out. The trouble is, Keene is 40 minutes away by the time they get the unit out, hooked up, and started up here. And that's after we decided that this is way too far for us to lug a 190-pound person through 6 inches of snow. And there's not enough firefighters in the area to lug them that far. Manual.
I would just like to make one statement in regards to this article, then I'll shut up on this article. How much is your life worth? I mean, if you guys have got limbs you're cutting out there and something happens, the chainsaw rips through your leg and you're pulsating blood all over the ground, and you don't have this vehicle, you're probably gonna die because we cannot get to you soon enough. So look at this vehicle, not so much as an extra expense for somebody, but how much is your life worth? Thank you.
Any other discussion on Article 13?
You drop your gun? No, it's not, it's a cop out.
Another weapon.
Hit the deck.
And used to rip people. Okay, Article 13 has not been amended, so we do not need to take a vote. It's been requested by the Board of Selectmen that we revisit Article 8, the warrant, which is perfectly legal unless there's been a vote not to reconsider at this meeting, which we have not taken. As Marcelo had something to say on it and he was called away during the discussion. Was there any objection to reopening Article 8, the operating budget? No, I will go back and I will reopen Article 8, the operating budget for discussion. And Marcelo, did you have something you would bring up?
I'll make it fast because I think everybody is late, and I got called away. I apologize. So the just a couple quick points I wanted to mention about my budget, our budget in the police department, and the staff that I work with every day. 2013, my main goal is going this year, in the next 6 months, is going to be to find somebody to replace Bob Bromley. And we started that recruitment, and I'm going to make sure, we are all going to make sure the people on the oral board, the interview board, is going to make sure it's going to be a good fit for our town, and somebody I got to work with day in and day out. It's really a partnership, and we're working hard on that. At last meeting, there was it was brought up that this person should be qualified or trained or willing to be trained as EMT, and I'm going to work hard to get that done. The last meeting, I also brought up some thoughts about our current events in obviously Newtown and also here in our town with school safety. I feel that within maybe 2014, I may be talking to the citizens of Alstead and asking to consider a school resource officer. That is obviously a big ticket item, and I feel that it's something that is important and it would be an asset for our town. Right now, there's no grants, but I have a feeling that come 2014, there may be a grant, more grants opening up for at least a 3-year funded position, similar to how we were able to get Rose Millard, school resource officer at the high school. I believe that's how that position was initially funded. So what I'm, quick to sum up, I could, with my budget, there is no increase in my budget from last year. I also could throw out there to everyone that with $5,000 to $10,000 increase now, if that was something that is what the people wanted, that could help fund better staffing during school days on top of what we already have or we're gonna have when we hire our other full-timer. That's just kind of a Band-Aid to what I really want for the future, but it is an option and something that I definitely would entertain and would be a good idea. But again, come next year or the year after, I think we're going to see some grants opening up for an SRO, and I'm definitely going to present that to everybody. So that's basically what I got.
Any questions from Marcelo?
So you're looking to increase this now another 10,000? Is that what you're looking for?
That, yes, that would be
I make a motion that we increase the police department budget by $10,000. Second.
Okay, moved and seconded that the line L, please, be increased by $10,000 from $145,600 to $155,600. Is there discussion on this amendment? If not, I will ask for a vote on the amendment. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Nay. I will declare that a positive vote on the amendment to line L. Now that the Article 8 is reopened, is there any other discussion on Article 8? John?
Yeah, now you reopen it. Would the section explain the fall budget was included in last year's budget, that made the fall budget higher?
It's not. It's exactly what last year's was.
Apparently, there have been no contingency anythings that have raised it beyond what it was as presented last year.
So it is last year's budget, period.
That's what Linda says, I
Yeah.
believe it.
It is. Actually, I think you raised the budget last year also. Because it was a different, maybe
Yeah.
not.
It's nice to have a choice. So Peter, that new number would be 1634348.
That's good, that's what I got.
That's, oh, good. Wicked.
Any other discussion on Article 8? If not, I will ask for a motion on the amended Article 8.
I move that Article 8 as amended be placed on the ballot.
Do I have a second? Moved and seconded that Article 8, amended to read, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant, or is amended by vote of the first session for the purpose set forth therein, totaling $1,634,348. Should this article be defeated, the operating budget shall be $1,509,663, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Alstead or by law. Or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 4013, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. All those in favor of Article 8 as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Then we will proceed to Article 14. The fifth town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 for stone repairs at the North Cemetery. Recommended by the selectmen, majority vote required. This appropriation is in addition to Article number 8, the operating budget. Any discussion? Not, we'll go on to Article 15. Shall we rescind the provisions of RSA 4013, known as SB2, as adopted by the town of Alstead on March 12, 1996, so that the official ballot will no longer be used on all questions, but only for the election of officers and certain other questions for which the official ballot is required by state law. Recommended by the Alstead Board of Selectmen, 3/5 majority vote required. Any discussion?
I know there's a question with this. This means that if some article that you're at a meeting at comes up, or not an article, but something comes up that should possibly go to the town, and you three decide to, say the heck with it, we don't need to do that, we can buy that right now. So am I correct? with
No,
saying that?
what the truth would be is that we would be done now. We'd be done now, because this meeting and the people in it would make the decisions, would vote up or down, and we'd be done. That's the difference. After this wonderful discussion we've had tonight.
So basically, SB2 was a lovely experiment brought to us by the legislature. We thought it was a good idea at the time. It replaced a system that I think worked pretty well for about 175 years. You've heard way too much from me about this, but if you're looking for a word to describe SB2, the polite one would be handcuffed, which is what it does to the voters, or the other word would be emasculate. Because we're making this less democratic in an attempt to make it more democratic. We would be the first town in this state to reverse this. It would be historic, but we're the people to do that. Don't be afraid. It worked for 175 years for crying out loud. Think of Norman Rockwell and the Four Freedoms. That's where we want to get back to.
Right.
The language just says, okay, election of officers, I understand, but what other certain questions would the official ballot be required under state
All
law?
zoning.
Sorry?
Zoning.
For one thing.
That's the only thing is planning and zoning stuff?
As far as I know.
That's the official,
Just describe language you
yeah,
can't
that's the official descriptive language.
No, I'm just not, anytime you see language like that, it's like somebody says,
Yeah,
et cetera, and you say,
Yeah, I understand.
what else?
I think it probably envisions the unknown about the future.
I think maybe if you were closing a road or something like that, it might also have to be on it.
Is that right, Peter, closing the road? I mean, that's fine, but stuff, isn't it?
No, it's definitely town meeting stuff.
That's not meaning stuff, I think it does have to.
I don't know.
But it might not.
Road.
If we should get the people to vote to go back to the way it used to be, I personally think it was a good thing. I understand why they tried the other way. I've never been happy with it myself. I think that we would get twice as many people at least to come to our town meeting as are here tonight. And it used to be that when I don't want to pick on Warren, but Warren wanted a fire truck one time.
Good
And
on
I
you.
told him to come in with more information this year. And he really didn't come in with it, and we voted it down. And the road agent would want a truck. Well, I don't know much about trucks, and most of the people sitting in this room don't. But when the discussion went on, and Dale Wilson would ask a question, and John Burrows would ask a question, and people that own trucks and ran trucks every day, the rest of us got a sense of whether that was a good purchase or not. And the people in the room made a good decision to buy the truck, because they had learned something about it, just as we've learned about these articles tonight. And I think that if you can get 100 people out of the 400 or 500 that are eligible to vote, to come and listen to the pros and cons of the different articles, that their say is an educated, informed decision, and the rest of the people have to abide by it. I understand that some people can't make it because they happen to be on a night shift or whatever the situation is. But I still think that 100 people out of this town that shows up at town meeting and listens to all the arguments back and forth on each of these articles and amend them up or down or does away with them entirely, that the rest of the people just have to live with that. But I think that those people are making an educated, informed vote. So I hope Joe can get this reversed and be the first town.
I do too.
Yeah, let me ask you another question. So, you know, I haven't been here before 1996, but did you get larger turnouts?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
It's about 125 or 130.
And an occasional fist fight, Rich, it was actually pretty entertaining.
And then the second question is, would it be on a weekday night, or would it be, you know, how would you anticipate?
My preference would be for a Saturday, including a big potluck lunch, but that is a separate vote.
Well, I know, I mean.
But it's within our power to do that.
Not the purchase.
Well, sorry, so if you rescinded this thing, you know, you went back to the old way, then who would make the decision on when you held it?
Well, for the first year after the vote, we would stick with the Tuesday in March date,
Why?
because that's the law. At that meeting, we could say, and next year, we're gonna meet on Saturday instead of Tuesday.
Right. And let the people vote on it.
But wouldn't you still have the election on Tuesday?
No.
The ballot?
Yes, the ballot.
The ballots, yes, but the town meeting could be any time in that second week of March, I believe. And then there's another provision which I am not advocating for, ladies and gentlemen, although it has its attractions, for a May town meeting. There are towns in this state that do that quite successfully. They like it because it takes more of the weather out of the equation. One small step at a time, I think.
You know, you go back to our old town meetings, and March 12th, David could tell you, Tim could tell you, it always stormed. Every Tuesday it stormed at town meetings.
Never done storm.
It always snowed or something.
Climate's changed, it doesn't snow.
It's not gonna snow anymore, Bob.
I would just like to say that I agree with everything that Joe and Bruce said, because by having the people here, they're a more informed electorate. By just going to the polls and voting, they really don't have all the facts to make the decision. I always have felt that it was a big mistake. I voted against it, by the way, to go to the SC2 town.
In the public's defense, something like 6 warrants in a row have passed every article that was recommended by the Board of Selectmen.
That's defending them? Hoodwink. It's the only explanation.
I would like to say that if this article fails, it'll be because the people who aren't here tonight won't have a clue about what the implications of this are, because I certainly.
That's the only hope.
Oh, but I thought people didn't like this.
I mean, I think, I can't remember if I voted for this or not. I thought I was voting for it for the school district where I wanted it. And I was stunned and amazed to learn after the vote that the town had switched. I didn't understand that. I don't know what went on that day.
So this is an intentional wording, obfuscation.
No.
You can thank the legislature for the work.
This isn't click and clack, this is actual law.
We don't make up the article, it's made up for you.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
That's right, right out of the book.
oh.
Chapter and verse.
It's on there.
Yeah, it's not the puzzle.
It's a good deal. It's time for us to do the right thing, I believe. Of course, we are preaching to the choir here. Obviously, you people have demonstrated year after year after year that you are interested enough to put down the remote, get off the couch, and drive to town to participate in this, the cultural piece, but also the piece where you set your tax rate, for crying out loud. I want more people involved in that. Not because I think you're doing a particularly bad job, but because I think it's a mistake to allow people to vote on matters of this import without information. I realize that that's somewhat prejudicial, but there it is.
John?
I move that we put Article 15 on the ballot as written.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded that we place Article 15 on the ballot as written. And since there's no changes,
I just want a chance to speak under the next
yeah,
one.
okay. So any other discussion on the motion on Article 15? No, there's no changes, we don't need to vote on it. We're on to Article 16, transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting, and Bruce has something to start with.
I don't know if it's legally before the committee or not here, but Glenn Alstead and myself have been serving on a committee at the Viola School, and I put up a couple of things in the background there. Viola School was donated to this town as a gift with a trust fund to help support it, which it did for many years, and we still get interest from the trust fund that helps to lower our taxes in the school district portion of our tax bill. Viola School and the primary school and the land area have some very distinct problems now. Traffic, safety, parking, the gymnasium, and a number of other things that the school has grown to the point where it's very inadequate after 75 years. We have a committee, you'll see the names listed on the bulletin back there, that have been working on this for about a year and a half, pretty near 2 years. I'm sure some of you have noticed that we've cut the trees off the hill between the two schools. We also got the land surveyed because we ended up, when we started looking into it, that we had 4 or 5 different partial maps when different pieces of land were acquired and so on. So we finally got one new survey done that shows where the wells are, where the septic systems are, where the buildings are located, and so on and so forth. And we spent a lot of time talking with the principals, the teachers, and everybody involved at the school, with the police department as far as our traffic flow problems and so on and so forth. And there's a proposed plan hanging up back there. And I'm sure it's in pretty small print because I have larger copies. We had a formal public meeting at the school here about a month and a half ago. It's got about this many people, which was all right. Now I see people here tonight that weren't there, so that's why I'm bringing it up again. The reason I'm bringing it up tonight, you will see when you come here to vote, there will be a warrant article on the school warrant asking you to vote
to take $30,000 out of the capital reserve fund for our school so that we may hire some architects to take our homegrown plans and turn them into reality. I mean, we can say, take this wall out, make the classroom bigger, or do this or do that. Structurally, can it be done? Not only that, but we need to have them come up with